Hi, my name is Victoria Morgan. I started taking Wellbel Woman Plus probably about a year and a half ago when right after the product was launched. Prior to that, I was on the regular traditional Wellbel since 2020. I started noticing changes in my hair probably in 2019. I've always had really great hair, have good genetics in terms of my family always has good hair. We've always had really great hair health. And that was something a characteristic that I always define myself as, having good hair, and people always notice that about me. But and say in 2019, I had ended a very traumatic relationship. I was going through a very bad time, and I noticed that my hair was started to break and started to come out of my head. And I've never lost hair, even through my pregnancies. I had never lost my hair before. I've always grew more hair. And I noticed that my hair went from being really long, it was almost past my bottom of my back, to just every day I saw my hair shorter and shorter, literally breaking. And I couldn't understand what it was. And I went to the doctor and I started to have high blood pressure, which I'd never had before. So I think being in a relationship where you're constantly having your cortisol levels elevated and being in fight or flight, that impacts your hair health trauma. And I found Wellbel online. I was following Danielle Bernstein and I saw what she had gone through on her hair health journey. And that's what really prompted me to start using Wellbel. And as a chemist and a pharmacist myself, the ingredients, the clean ingredients that are bioavailable really meant everything to me because there are so many products out there. But I don't like to take anything, any medicine of any sort. In pharmacy school, you study pharmacognosy, which is the natural study of medicine, where and knowing that it was using, saw palmetto and selenium, those are healthy products that promote hair health and growth naturally along with biotin. So those were a game changer for me. Other products out there I didn't want to try because of the higher levels of biotin that I felt that could potentially impact or cause more of a hormonal imbalance in someone, especially like me, who at the time was suffering trauma and starting to go through menopause. So those were those were really the critical factors, and seeing that this company was created by a man like Dr. Dan, who was a Harvard-trained physician, and the reason behind him creating this product for his family, really struck a chord with me because I'm of the same ilk. I'm all about my family and being a healthcare professional. These things are really important to me. I did my research and I just started Wellbel right away and was really, um, impressed with how it made me feel. Even my skin, everything about me, started to change, and you just started to get that confidence. And it was not even the growth; it was the shine and the strength back and the density I felt. And I was able to chronicle that and journey on my journey through that since I would say 2020. In the middle of the pandemic, probably 2021, I ended up getting back into that relationship, unfortunately. And my hair a year later completely started breaking again. And when you're isolated in such a traumatic relationship, these people are insidious and they isolate you from the world. And I'm such a happy, positive person. And I always admitted that through my personality. But when you feel isolated and you feel loss of confidence, that you don't look yourself the way you used to, especially when you're already perimenopausal, having hormone changes, and constantly worried about your health, you want to show resilience in any way you can. And I think that was the hardest thing, was wanting to face the world because I didn't look myself. But I couldn't really buy the Wellbel anymore because when you're in certain situations where there's a lot of control, you can't spend money the way you want, and it's a really big impact on you. And once I broke free and I was able to do what I want again, the first thing I did was go on my healthcare journey from biohacking and longevity. And the first product of mine is Wellbel because hair health is everything, especially when that's how people define you. And that's not selfish, that's self-love and self-care. Again, 6 months later, started to completely notice a metamorphosis in my hair, and people were just telling me how healthy my hair was. I made a commitment to myself to build resilience into my repertoire as a mother, as a career woman, as an executive, and I built that into the repertoire of my company, One Strong Mother, which is resilience in women and people globally. And I go on speaking engagements. I have a wonderful following who is really impressed with the way I look, my skin and my hair, and they see the metamorphosis and the change, and they've been following me and asking me what I use. So I tell them that it's Wellbel, and everywhere I go, I'm giving it out and showing them. But Wellbel Women Plus has really been the game changer in my life, and it gives me the confidence to continue to show up every day for myself, for my family, for my career, and my company, the business that I am, discussing resilience about, and I am proud to discuss that. And just when I go to work or someone, in my company that works with me will say, "What are you doing every day?" Because you don't always notice the changes. You see yourself every day. It's the unsolicited comments. And I think when you get that feedback, when people would actually tell you when you didn't look so great and they see that you're not the way you used to be, but then when they actually notice the metamorphosis and approach you and stop you and say, that makes you want to keep going. And I think that's the highest form of a compliment, especially from another woman, unsolicited compliment. And they ask me, what am I using? What am I doing? And I just tell them, and I tell them it's Wellbel. I tell them it doesn't just affect your health, your hair health, it affects other aspects of your health, but the key is to use it consistently and daily. And with consistency, it will help build resilience in your hair, your body, your skin. And I think, when you have daughters, they're your biggest critic. So they're always honest with me. And they're really great because they are the first to also notice, Mom, I see you're happy, you're healthier, and they are supportive of my health journey. And I think that's the most important thing. Wellbel has had such a critical impact, an important impact on my life. And I'm a real person. I have a career. I have my own women's empowerment organization. And I am able to share what I am doing. I'm not some famous person that people would reach out and look to see who is using this product. I'm a real person using the product and came to you guys to tell you how it's impacted my life, and I wouldn't be here, and I wouldn't have the more confidence and the resilience toolkit that I have that I talk about in a book I've written about resilience on this journey. And again, I'm grateful for that. And if my story can impact one person who's gone through a similar situation or a similar path, starting out with great hair your whole life, your family has great hair, and then you happen upon, you know, going through trauma in your life and having it taken away from you, there is a way to get it back. I feel so blessed to have found this product because I've been dedicated to using it since I found out about it in 2020. And I'm grateful. I really am.